Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with Week 7. It's already Week 7, but last week I did okay, went 10-5. Total season record 57-35. And 7 weeks in, it's still anyone's season. And I actually kind of like it like that. But before we jump into these predictions, the reminder that the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills are on bye weeks this week. And trust me, both of these teams desperately need them. And kicking things off with Thursday Night Football, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers getting a win over the Cleveland Browns. At times it was not pretty, but a win's a win, which has been the Steelers' MO for the past decade. They'll be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost their fourth straight game, yes, against the Green Bay Packers, but they kept a close competition with them. I mean, it took some time for Joe Flacco to get going, but once he did, he got going. And this game will be played, even though it's going to be played in Cincinnati. And even though I do think Flacco could do the funniest thing possible, I can't go against the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. They got the defense. The defense is starting to gel together. Offense, it's okay, but again, the Steelers right now is taking advantage of everyone in their division falling apart, and I think they're going to continue to do that. And then we got another London game, this time against the Los Angeles Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And unlike the last two London games, this one will be taking place in Wembley Stadium. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a tough loss against Seattle Seahawks, 1 week removed of them having a statement win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Rams, it didn't look pretty against the Baltimore Ravens, but it got the job done. They won 17-3. Now for the Rams, they are entering this game in a bit of a question mark, and it involves Puka Nakua. He did leave that game last week with I think he had an ankle injury, so his status is still up in the air for this one. And if I think he plays, the Rams shouldn't have a problem. But if he doesn't, this might be a very tight battle. And yeah, I'm going back and forth with this one because both of these teams have pretty good defenses from my lens. But I'm gonna give the slightest edge to the Los Angeles Rams to win this game. I just like their passing offense a little more than I like the Jaguars. And next up, we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. The Saints lost to the New England Patriots, and what I heard was a poorly officiated game. And they'll be traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears, who have now won three straight, two straight on the road, coming off of a stealing a victory over the Commanders. They had to force a fumble on the Commanders' last drive to get that win. So the Bears winning three straight. That's impressive. And I think it's going to be four straight in this one. I'm going to roll with the Chicago Bears to win this game. Offense is starting to gel. Defense is taking the ball away. I think it's going to be a rough go for it for Spencer Rattler. Oh, God. We got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Cleveland Browns. Dolphins losing to the Chargers and the Browns losing to the Steelers. But let's talk about the Dolphins a little bit because there was a concerning report involving the culture of this team. And where Tua actually said players aren't going to meetings, or if they are going to meetings, they're showing up late. They're not buying into the Miami Dolphins culture. It's pretty bad. Meanwhile, for the Browns, I mean, at least everyone's expecting this. Although they're wasting their defense on their very bad offense. And this one, I don't even care who wins. Miami. I'm just gonna go off of you because I like your offense a little better than I like Cleveland's. And then we got the New England Patriots taking on the Tennessee Titans. Patriots winning their third straight game against the New Orleans Saints. And the Titans lost their game against the Raiders, but it came with a bit of a victory because Monday morning they fired Brian Callahan. In my opinion, it was 6 games too late. as Callahan was very, very ineffective. Should have never been fired as the head coach. In fact, he should have been fired in year one. That's how bad things got in Tennessee. Not to mention ownership ineptitude and him destroying Kim Ward. That's gonna play. That played into the role of his firing. And they'll be taking on a coach that used to coach for the Titans and probably should have never got fired from the Titans. And Mike Vrabel, as he's now coaching the New England Patriots. And I think Vrabel, this one's personal for him. I hope he shows the Titans what they've been missing. And then we got an AFC West battle between the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders got a win over the Titans. That's not hard to do. And the Chiefs got a big statement win over the Detroit Lions, where they were penalized 0 times. No penalties for the Chiefs. It's not like anyone's going to suspect anything. But anyway, Chiefs, they're starting to get their little mojo back. And being 12.5-point favorites, yeah, it's going to be tough to go against that. I'm going with the Chiefs to win. And then we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Eagles losing their second straight game to the New York Giants on Thursday night. And there's a locker room problem in this one. With Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and A.J. Brown, as the touches aren't getting distributed properly amongst the three. They'll be taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are coming off a bye week. Last time we saw them, they had a come-from-behind victory over the Cleveland Browns, led by Carson Wentz. In this game, I don't know who's the starting quarterback going to be. Could it be J.J. McCarthy? Could they roll with the hot hand with Wentz? Who knows? I'm assuming McCarthy's going to start this game. Only because they promised it was a early season promise, and we still don't know what J.J. McCarthy brings to the table. But because of that, and because I don't know who's going to start at quarterback for the Vikings, Eagles have to bounce back and win this one. I think this is a must-win for the Eagles. I mean, yes, they're coming off a mini bye, long break. Hopefully they can get their mentals right, and yeah, I'm going with the Eagles. However, I do not expect a lot of points in this one. So if you're into gambling, take the under on points. And then we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the New York Jets. Panthers getting a huge home victory over the Dallas Cowboys. And being in attendance, that was a thrilling game to watch. And you could mostly thank Rico Dowdle for this victory, as once again he had over 200 yards scrimmage. He'll be taking on the New York Jets, who less said about that game last week the better. Where yes me, a YouTuber who has less than 200 subscribers, had more net passing yards than Justin Fields. And you too had more net passing yards than Justin Fields that week. He was getting sacked after sack after sack after sack. Jets are a mess. And looking at this game, I'm very cautious. Because if you don't know, the Panthers aren't really that great on the road. Just one road win in the last 3 years. And the Jets can turn it on. They have the talent to turn it on. But for now, I'm going to pick the Panthers to win this game. Because I think they finally found an identity on offense with the run. And defense, they're becoming run stuffers. Back-to-back weeks where the opposing run game for the opposing team did not get going. So that's very promising. If the Panthers defense continue to build off of what they did the last 2 weeks, this is going to be good night, Irene. And now we have the New York Giants taking on the Denver Broncos. Then both of these teams are the last two teams to beat the Eagles. Well, you know what I mean. Giants getting a huge win over the said Eagles team, led by Jackson Dart and Scattaboo. Scattaboo had 3 touchdowns. And the Broncos are coming off of that game against the Jets. Yes, they won, but we're not going to talk about that. Broncos are favored by 7.5 points. I do think this is going to be closer than what people think. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the Broncos to win this game. I think Bo Nix could get back, going back home, he could get going on offense. And the defense, well, is already good. And I think they're going to clamp down on the rookie quarterback, Jackson Dart. And then we got an NFC East matchup between the Washington Commanders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And both of these teams are coming off of losses involving last-second field goals. Commanders losing to the Bears because of a costly fumble on that final drive. And the Cowboys did everything they could on offense to keep up with the Panthers, but the defense, man, the defense, it's beyond bad for that side of the football. And it makes you wonder why Matt Eberflus hasn't been fired yet. Because his scheming is just, oh man, it's atrocious. But outside of that, this game, oh boy, I am expecting this to be a shootout. And thinking about it, last time these two teams truly played, not counting that Week 18 game, they had that wild 4 minutes of football in FedEx Field, which the Cowboys came out on top. But for this one, I gotta lean towards the Commanders to win. I just trust that roster a little more than I trust the Cowboys. The Cowboys still have holes on that defense, but they could get CeeDee Lamb back. We'll have to wait and see on that. And now we've got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Packers, yes, they won against the Bengals, but it was much closer than you thought. I actually thought the Bengals had a small shot in winning that game. They'll be taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who, without Kyler Murray, they played okay against the Colts, but it's just not enough. And now that seat is starting to warm up for Jonathan Gannon. And with the Packers being almost touchdown favorites, I am going to take the Packers on the road to win this game. Although, I can see the Cardinals pulling off an upset. Just a cautious thought there. Then for Sunday Night Football, we got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Falcons getting a huge win over the Buffalo Bills that I actually predicted last week. I called it. I said the Falcons were going to upset the Bills, and they did. And it was mostly led by the running game of Bijan Robinson and Drake London going crazy. They'll be taking on the 49ers, where I feel like every week they have one new injury to report. And last week they lost Fred Warner due to a season-ending dislocated ankle injury. Seriously, NFLPA, investigate this team. I don't know what they're doing in practice, but it's causing wear and tear on their players. They need to be investigated. And with the Falcons being favored in this one, and I don't see a sign that Brock Purdy is going to return in this one, I'm going to go with the Falcons to win. But 49ers, I do have some good news for you. George Kittle said to be starting practicing this week. So the first of their reinforcements could come in. Just hopeful thinking, I guess. And that leads us to Monday Night Football, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be taking on the Detroit Lions. Bucks getting a huge win over the 49ers. Right now, Baker Mayfield, he's looking like the best quarterback in the league. Imagine saying that 3 years ago. And he'll be taking on the Detroit Lions, where they had a tough loss to the Chiefs. And they wouldn't be without Brian Branch for this game, as he decided to throw a punch on Juju Smith-Schuster. Monday night game, this is going to be a tight one. I think this is going to be a tight one. And if you don't know, the Bucks did beat the Lions last year. But I've gone back and forth from this one. I'm expecting this one to be a great game. I'm going to go ahead and take the Lions to win this one. But I will not be surprised if Tampa Bay gets the win. And now we have this, and then it's another doubleheader for Monday Night Football. Houston Texans taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Texans coming off a bye week, but last time we saw them, the offense finally got going against the Baltimore Ravens. And they luckily they spent the bye week healing up. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks went on the road again and got a win. Again. That's now 9 straight Seattle has won on the road. Which means going back home, things are gonna ravine, if that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why Seattle has not played good at home this year outside of that one game against the Saints. It's an anomaly for me. But look, this one could be. I think this one could go in any fashion. But Seattle is at home, so I'm still gonna lean toward the home team to win this one. But again, I think this one could go in any direction. And finally, game of the week. Honestly, I actually had a hard time picking who could possibly take this award. And yes, I could have chose Tampa and Detroit, but I chose Detroit last week, and I don't want to use teams. I don't want to use consecutive teams back-to-back weeks. So with that in mind, the Indianapolis Colts will be taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Colts getting a close victory over the Cardinals, but a victory nonetheless. Colts are still the surprise team of 2025. Meanwhile, the Chargers snapped a 2-game losing streak against the Miami Dolphins, but the injuries I have again is still taking a toll on this team because they do not look the same than what they did 3 weeks ago. In this game being played in Los Angeles, I know the Chargers are going to be there. I do believe the Chargers in there. I do believe the Chargers a little bit when they're healthy. Right now, they are not. And I feel like they're not in sync as they should be. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Colts to win this game. And that pretty much will wrap up this week's predictions. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely. I'll see you next time.